At this time of the year, going on a business trip is not a good idea. Because no one is teaching them. If you let them just go to Chacheo, Hokage, and Tsunade to find a job, especially if they want to go to Suzuki. So, in order to prevent them from getting too close to each other, Tsunade only allows them to go on business trips with other companies. Their business trips at this time of the year don't really have any serious jobs. A long time ago, there was a time when Hokkaido invited Sino and Naruto to join the monsoons for those who had people, and those who had people asked Sino to help build a temple for them to worship. The story begins when, in the middle of their visit to those who had people to worship, they told their ancestors to take all of their people to their ancestors. But in their graduation ceremony, if only one of their students is a candidate, the rest of their class will be divided among other candidates. And one of their students clearly knows that when it's time to join the class, their brothers and sisters will come together and use their votes to make a candidate that they clearly know they can't keep. So at this time, they let Chino be their candidate, because we know that Chino is not a bad guy. Then, when the meal was served, Chino ate first. For some reason, Naruto thought Chino was going to throw up. What? Why? I'm going to throw up. The one who threw up wasn't just Chino. Even the animals in his cage threw up, too. Then, they told each other that they had money to invest in the meal. And because Chino had to invest in the meal, they forced Naruto to join the mission. And then, he threw up. After that, there were a lot of our friends who came to join us, such as Krongtuk. At that time, it was only some of the Naruto fans. Because all the friends who came to join us, each of them had their own skills to make the Naruto style. In the end, the event was just a fun party. Because the people who were with us hadn't left yet. They organized this event so that all the friends could meet and have fun together. And that's what happened now. Then, when we get back to the forest, we have to call Tsunade and invite her to join us. Speaking of Sakura, we've learned a lot from Tsunade. And Ino sees Sakura as a friend, so he wants to be a friend too. But Sakura said that if Ino asks Tsunade to be his friend, Ino will have to be his disciple. This made Ino unhappy and they broke up. One night, Naruto was in a bad mood because Jiraiya had returned. He told Naruto that the Katsuki family would start their friendship again in about 2-3 years. So there was only 2-3 years left for Naruto to get his revenge. But Jiraiya took Naruto out of the room to go to the school in the east. Then things went wrong for a while, 2.5 years. And then Jiraiya and Naruto returned from the school. In the story, we don't see any specific time period for Naruto to start doing something during the spring break period. But I do see that Naruto and his partners are both still very powerful. When it got to the rainy season, we had to catch up with Tsunade first. On that time, Tsunade wanna know how far is Naruto going to get Sakura by going to battle with Kakashi. And by that time, Naruto has encountered Kakashi, and she has a chance to take Kakashi down. Genus of the Spirit of Noah, which has disappeared for a while. At that time, Kriketsu was so excited, his 93% of power was lost to him. Kriketsu loved to read about Noah, the genus of Noah. But somehow he followed the story too. Then, when the time came for the fight, as mentioned earlier, Sakura and Naruto fought to make a cave out of Kriketsu's body. But unfortunately, this time the Kriketsu used his power to fight them. They were all killed in a fight. We met at the end of the night and Kiraya and Tsunade came to see us continue our adventure. Darn it! What's interesting at that time is that Sakura was using a powerful weapon like Tsunade's, while Naruto's shadow clone was more powerful than before. But they split up late at night and haven't been able to get any information from Lukra Kakashi yet. It looks like Kakashi doesn't have any real history. But at that time, Naruto thought of a way to deal with Kakashi. Their way is to go straight to Kakashi and let Naruto tell him the ending of the Third World War that he is about to read. At that time, Kakashi closed both the book and his body. Because he didn't want Naruto to tell him the ending. In English, it's called a spoiler. And those who have watched or read any of the stories will understand. And the reason why Sakura and Naruto were able to escape from Kakashi's prison. Then, Naruto told Kakashi that he shouldn't leave because of such a big story. But Naruto read that story, but he didn't read all of it. It means that Naruto didn't know how the story ended. Or he said in a bad way that Kakashi's prison was opened by Naruto. The government has announced that from now on, the three of us will be working together. Which means that when we go out to work, we have to go together. Now, let's take a look at another situation where there is a group of two people who are on their way to the farm to catch crabs. Their goal is to take the power of the government in the crab farm. Therefore, the crab farm must be set up in the farm that is said to be their business. Speaking of the two of you, you guys are in the military as a military service, because you have a certificate of service that you have been in the military for a long time. Then there's a guy in your group named Deodara, who was used to kill a big animal to earn a living from work. And the other guy named Sasori didn't go to the military in the province of Kut. The weapon that Deodara uses is a white stone that he can use as a weapon. Then he took the stone and put it on the back of 2 or 3 of his men and went to find the people who were there. Then he stabbed them with a knife. Not long after, Deodara made his way to Gaara's residence and stabbed Gaara in the back of his hand. Some people are disappointed that the meat factory didn't exist back then. The reason why they decided to start a business with a garage above the ground is that they thought the garage couldn't use as much meat as the land. But they made a big decision. Because even if it was a garage above the ground, the garage could also be used as a land for the meat to grow. But no matter what, the land over there can't do anything to the land, because the land is too fast. But then, the animals come up to the garage again. At that time, in order to prevent the garage from coming out of its hole, they come to attack it. And at the same time, they use the land to catch the land. The person who saw this incident was very happy because he thought that Gaara can kill Deodara. But unfortunately, Deodara used the stone to seal the hole and came out. Then Gaara didn't let Deodara resurrect easily. He sent a number of enemies into his tower to get hold of Deodara's hand and used the same coffin to break it down a little. The enemies in Gaara used it to protect himself. After he cut his hand off, Gaara was left with a bruise and refused to leave. At that time, he asked for a large piece of wood to cut a hole in the body and buried it at that time as if it were his own body. However, no one was able to save him because at that time, Gaara had created a body to protect the body for a long time. At the same time, Gaara used a small piece of wood to dig a hole in Gaara's body. And as usual, the body in his body came out to protect him. But at this time, there are a number of different colors of flesh. The reason is that before when the flesh went to the hands of Gaara has destroyed a number of doors with flesh over there. It was a good thing that Gaara was able to remove the door to the cave, and he could move it to the car and catch the car successfully. When they saw the car that was being used by the kidnappers rushed to help. When they got out, they saw the car was completely destroyed. They knew that there was a trap in the garage. At that time, there were many doors and windows in that area. They opened the door and went into the garage. They didn't let the kidnappers follow them to help the car. But there were only the kidnappers who could get out of the door and window. They rushed to follow the two people in the car. The next minute, the car was opened and the kidnappers followed them. When Sasori came out, he fought with Kankuro, and used the ground to take Gaara down first, then he stopped Kankuro and followed him. At the same time, Pungsek tried to ask for help from the tree leaves, and when Tetsudo was there, Hokage joined the Kakashi group and went to Pungsek to help them. Let's take a look at the fight between Kankuro and Sasori. He said that it's not necessary to remove all of his teeth. But he said that it's possible to insert a toothpick into his mouth. At that time, Sasori didn't remove all of his teeth. He left the toothpick with his toothpick for 2-3 days before removing it. The next day, he found the toothpick and took it to the vet for treatment. At that time, in the group, it was seen that the color in their group was not normal. And after knowing that Satsuri was the creator, the rest who were the teachers of the group went to ask for help from Lada Ebisu and Lohaicho. The two of them agreed to help each other. And Lohaicho is the creator of Satsuri. The two men came together to help the kangaroos. After observing the process of the group, Ryuicho, who is also in favor of the trampoline, realized that the trampoline is a bit expensive, but he didn't see it, and it depends on the quality that he can help. He said that maybe another day, the kangaroos will have to leave. And he also learned that at this time, the only person who can help the kangaroos is a man named Tsunade. But during the period from the tree to the meat, it takes 3 days. So even if Tsunade is willing to help, it's not too late. Speaking of the land, we have a lot of land because we have a lot of trees. And at that time, we have a lot of land, but we don't have enough. Even if we have a lot of land, we still have a lot of leaves. When we got up early in the morning to harvest, we saw that we had to wait for the first rain. We waited for the land to dry up and there was a big rain, so we didn't know if there would be a big rain. The census have been working on a new project to help the Karkasai tribe. Speaking of the Karkasai tribe, they have already reached the jungle. And at that time, Luoyezio, upon seeing the Karkasai tribe, jumped in and hit him. The reason is because he was in a fight with his father, who had a nickname, Taachingamso, in the jungle. But Karkasai's father has been dead for a long time. Hiroyichi Kakashi's disciple was his son. Then Sakura went to look for kangaroo. At that time, there was a lot of fighting in the zoo. When Sakura was able to make a detailed analysis of kangaroo, he said that in order to become a tiger, he had to spend a long time. And at that time, he used this fighting technique to bring some of the tigers out of kangaroo's cage, so that he could live a little longer. And at that time, he hoped that he could become a tiger. The next thing they have to do is go help Gaara. At that time, Kokoro sat down and told Lukro Kakasai that since he married Satsuri, his body was cut to the size of Satsuri's small body. And according to the size of the small body, Lukro Kakasai can use his power directly to Gaara's body. Then, he was in a good mood, because at that time, Sakura was able to give the power to Kokoro. I think Sakura is not as useless as she used to be. But look at Gaara, now he has to go to a place where there are all the Akatsuki in order to use the power of Sukaku inside his body. This is a big challenge for Gaara's life. Because when he uses the power of Sukaku inside his body, Gaara will have to die. For this video, I would like to apologize in advance. If you think this video is good, please comment below. And for those who haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to help support my channel. And goodbye.